Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Sorry that the stream is a little bit later today. I had some important appointments to get to this morning, so we are here now though, and I am indeed working toward the next playtest. So there's just like a bunch of quality of life things that need to be changed. I did make a big change to the game last night in response to the playtest that I was doing on stream. I guess that was yesterday. So I'll show you all that stuff in just a second, but before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. It's a inventory management auto battler about alchemy, where you can create your own builds and synergies using the alchemy system. So check out the Steam page, give it a wish list if you're interested. You can also support the game on Patreon. Either tier is greatly appreciated, and either tier will get you early access to the playtest. But the sponsor tier, if you subscribe for at least 1 month at the sponsored tier, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. You also get the full unlimited access to all of my course content. So if you've been looking at my courses, it may be more reasonable to subscribe for 1 month and take those courses rather than buy them individually. But you can purchase the courses individually on Udemy. So the link for that is in the description below. Check out all those links. Those are all the ways you can help me out. I very much appreciate the support. You can also join the Discord, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. Hello, the Malicious Rabbit. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good afternoon, Ninja Link. Welcome, welcome. How's your day going? It's going well. How's yours? Can't complain. It's a pretty good day so far. It's starting to get really hot here the past couple days, so my old air conditioner, I'm like, it's like a slot machine every year when the weather gets warm enough. It's like, oh, is this going to be the time that it doesn't turn on? Is this going to be the time that it breaks? And happy to report that it is still working. So that's good. But anyway, hopefully it lasts for a little bit longer. So what did I do yesterday? So during my playtest, I encountered a very specific situation which did not feel that great as a player. I had like a build defining item, and then I had a reagent that would have made that item much more powerful, but I didn't want to use the reagent because, number one, there was a risk of my ability that was build defining being replaced, and there was also a risk that there was going to be a corruption chance. So I was unable to do this like very powerful modifier to that item that I wanted to do because it was just too risky. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, how could I, I was thinking about like, how should I change the alchemy system to support that, and so on and so forth. But then I decided, I already have the reagent system. Like, the reagent system is the system that's designed to give the player more control. So like, alchemy without reagents is basically just like a slot machine pull. You still have some control, there's still some predictability, but it's still pretty random in terms of what you get. So the sort of unaided alchemy that's done without reagents, is more of a way of just like shaking things up and like shuffling the abilities around and trying to get like a good base to start with, right? But then the reagent system is the system that you need to engage with if you want to more specifically refine the item that you're working with, right? And so from that framing, I think the problem was a lot clearer, which is that I'm just not giving the player enough opportunities to get reagents, because the only way to get reagents was there's an artifact that gives you reagents, and the reagent event on the map is the only other way to get reagents. Every other time that cards are dropped from boosters and from combat rewards and stuff, and from the shop, the reagents were previously never able to drop in those places. And so what I did is I removed all those restrictions. Now anywhere that items can drop or items can be generated for you to choose, reagents can be in that set of items. So let's see. Yeah, so here, this first booster right here contains a reagent right off the bat. So I can go here and I can get a guaranteed reagent by selecting this item. And there's my reagent, flint, right? So, so that's one thing that I did. And then I also, let me just open up the shop container. I added one extra shelf to the shop container, and that extra shelf, so previously there was only 3 shelves. This last shelf here always generates a reagent, but all of these other 3 shelves, these could randomly choose reagents as well. So you're guaranteed at least 1 reagent at the shop, and with the potential for more reagents to be generated here. Okay, so that's the number 1 thing that I did. And then number 2, I added 2 new reagents. I added the witch dust reagent, and the witch dust reagent is basically custom made to address that problem I was having. So for context, what I was trying to do in my playtest is I was trying to swap the cooldown of the corpse pile and the mausoleum key with the fairy wings, but the problem is that it would have potentially replaced the ability that I needed, and there's a 44% chance to gain a corrupted ability. So just doing this was not attractive. So what I did is I added this witch dust item. This specifically says that no abilities of bottom adjacent items will be replaced by alchemy. So if I do this, I'm guaranteed that none of the abilities will be replaced. However, the top line stats here can still be modified, and the tags and everything. So it's just the ability list that won't change if you're using this reagent. If you use honey, this just protects the item outright. Like, the item will not be changed in any way. So the witch dust is designed just specifically to protect the abilities. The honey is designed specifically to protect the entire item. And then I also added a corrupted rose reagent. One second. I also added a corrupted rose reagent. This zeroes out the corruption chance in alchemy. So if I'm just doing this, I can use the witch dust if I have it. That protects that ability, and then I can throw the corrupted rose in there, and that removes the corruption chance entirely. So I think that's how I'm going to approach any issues that I encounter with alchemy. I think the first approach that I should be taking is to support modification of that with reagents, right? Like, reagents should be the primary way that you exercise a good degree of control over alchemy. And then with the base alchemy working in a little bit more of a random fashion, right? So I think that hopefully will solve the problems where you still have the randomization factor where you can get that dopamine hit of like getting the perfect ability on the perfect item to start with, right? Like, you get a nice base to start with, and then you can use the reagents, now that they're far more plentiful, to manipulate that item into exactly the form that you want. But it's still going to require like clever application of the reagents, right? Like, each of these gives you a different piece of functionality. So you're still going to have to think about like, how do I apply the reagents effectively to get what I want? And I think that's good. So this almost becomes like another little mini game instead of just a slot machine. It's another like optimization mini game. So in addition to the optimization of your combat board, now you've got the optimization of like, how do you get exactly the result you want? And now, like I said, now that reagents are a lot more common, that should be a lot easier to do. Now, the one thing that I'm kind of worried about is with the influx of reagents. Oh, the other thing I did too is I changed the reagent event to drop more reagents at base. So I think it was only dropping 3 reagents before, but now it does 6 reagents. So we'll go to this one, and we'll just go ahead and grab whatever. Doesn't matter, just grab something. So I go here, this will now drop 6 reagents. So this is just like your mother load of reagents. This just gives you a lot of options. So you get a high chance of, or a higher chance at least, of getting that reagent that you're looking for precisely. So anyway, I'm hoping that will make a good difference in the alchemy system, but we will see. We will see. Hello, Emerson, welcome, welcome. It's going good, doing some work, brainstorming things for the game. Think I've got a good idea where things need to go now. Yeah, I still have to play it. I have to make time to try that out, but seems like everyone in the Discord was enjoying your game. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. Hello, V. Good to see you. Drufus Games, welcome, welcome. Hello, Jackie Daytona. welcome to the stream. But wait, there's more. Hello, non-NPC. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you, Camaro Lendario, for the raid. That's very much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. For all the people who are coming as a result of the raid, working on my game Alchemordis right now, which you can wishlist on Steam. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy, which is this system here, to create your own builds and synergies by mixing and matching different items and throwing them into the pot and getting different things out. So check it out if you're interested, but I'm actually working on getting a playtest build ready so that we can do another playtest here real soon. So I'm just doing a bunch of like tweaks and final polish for the playtest build. And hopefully this game will be released. I shouldn't say hopefully. This game will be released later this year. So yeah. That would be awesome. Love to hear your feedback. Yeah, I will try to play it if I have time. Looks giga interesting. Thank you. I knew you were doing a backpack game, just didn't know it had this mechanic. Yeah, so it's basically like, you know, it's basically like a backpack auto battler game that you would expect it to be. It's inspired by the Bazaar and Backpack Heroes and everything, but the sort of unique selling point, I guess, of the game is the alchemy system, which allows you to basically create your own items by just like controlling the alchemy outputs. So that's the idea behind the game. Of course, the dark fantasy theme is a pretty big departure from the games that I mentioned. So it's like a low dark fantasy where alchemy is used to create like necromantic creatures and do all these occult things, and then you're fighting against the Inquisition, and they're of course like the bishops and the priests and the paladins and the villagers and all that stuff. So hopefully it's interesting. Can't wait for the playtest. Awesome. Thank you, Funnymations1. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Arion. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, so now that I've gone over what I changed, let's go ahead and work on some of these. So basically, when this to-do list is done, the playtest build will be ready. The good news is that the playtest that I did personally felt really good except for those little alchemy issues. So I'm hoping that everything else feels good. I do think the game is a little bit harder now, which is good because I think a lot of people were having a very easy time beating the game without even knowing what they were doing, which is not exactly like, I don't want the game to be super, super difficult, but I also don't want it to be like, you can just kind of do whatever you want and you'll win, right? Like you should have to at least strategize a little bit, even if it's not optimal strategy. So anyway, I do want to add board size increases after the boss fights again. So I was thinking about it. So right now there's 3 guaranteed board size increases, and you don't get any board size increases besides those 3. So if I add a board size increase after every boss fight except for the last one, because that's when you win, that's 5 board size increases. So that should be enough. The problem with making board size increases a random or related to randomness in any way is that you could get runs where you're just like starved for board size increases, and then you could get runs where you basically don't even need to do alchemy because you just keep upgrading the size of your board. So it's a tough balance to strike, but maybe I think it's a little bit too low. The upgrade opportunities are too few and far between now. So I'm hoping that just adding those 2 extra upgrade moments after the boss fights will be good. Me too, I want to play this. All right, well, if you want to know when the playtest goes live, you can join my Discord. That's where I'll put the announcements. I also have an email list and everything, and of course, all the social channels. Oh no, I'm gonna have to know what I'm doing, yeah. What about items for board size increases? Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. It's again, the main problem is like if there's an element of randomness to when you get board size increases, like it has to be one of those things where it's like extremely rare, so that number one, you don't get a bunch of extra board size increases, and also like, you know, you should be able to get by with like what the guaranteed board size increases are. The problem with the previous versions of the game is that your board size increases were totally random, and so you could go long stretches of time without getting any board size increases whatsoever, and that felt really bad. But again, if you get too many board size increases, then there's no pressure to like min-max your build because you just keep throwing items on your board and it doesn't matter, right? Anyway, so let's add board size increases. I might be able to go back in the history here and just resurrect that, pun intended. So let me go to my run manager. I'm just going to look at the file history here. And we'll take a look. Let's see. Remove boss board growth. Here we go. Can I just completely revert this change without anything being broken? Or I made a bunch of changes to this file. I'll probably just, maybe I'll just keep this open and I'll just re-implement it. Copy paste. Can I open this file? Open file at revision. Here we go. Okay. So we got the run manager. Let's put this over here. I'm just gonna copy and paste this all back. I don't want to deal with like, why is this public? I don't think that needs to be public. Okay, and then we need the state boss grow board reward. We'll just put this here, I guess. Has pending grow board reward, state combat victory. If is in boss fight, what is this? Yeah, I can put that here, I think. Is that right? State combat victory. Maybe I should move it up here like it was before. Okay, then we'll take this, we'll copy this. Where did I put that? State combat rewards. So this run manager here, this class basically drives the entire game. So it's just one giant state machine that drives the whole flow of the game. And then there are a bunch of sub-state machines that are spawned based on what event you're in. So I guess it's technically a hierarchical state machine, although it wasn't explicitly designed to be that way. Okay. Thank goodness for Git, am I right? All right, so let's give this a test. I will just go ahead and shrink my map size down quite substantially. And then let's just give myself the God mode item. And we'll go ahead into the game and we'll see what's up. Can you explain a bit about how alchemy works? What exactly does it do? Discord? I'm sorry, I'm not fancy enough for Twitch. Twitch commands or whatever. Thank you, Emerson, for sharing the Discord invite. So alchemy, so basically the way that it works, so let me just explain the basics of like the item system first. So anything that can end up in your inventory that you can put on your board is called an item. And items can be, they can have tags like this is a minion and a ritual item. This is an alchemical and ritual item. This is a reagent. This is a relic. So those tags are basically just for synergy purposes, like certain abilities will scale off of tags or interact with tags in some way. And then items have this list of abilities here. So the innate abilities, these are abilities that stay on the item all the time. They can't be removed or transferred via alchemy. But anything that's not marked as innate is an ability that could be swapped out or transferred to another item. So, and then I have empty ability slots, which is based on the size of the item. So large items like this Leviathan here has a bunch of extra empty ability slots. So the way that the alchemy works is that if there are empty ability slots, it will take any ability, or so basically when the alchemy system, when you put items into the alchemy board over here, it puts all of the abilities from all of the items into a giant ability pool. And then it pulls abilities randomly from that pool and assigns them to the empty ability slots if there are empty ability slots. And if there aren't empty ability slots, it will replace abilities. So you can see this corpse pile says it will have 2 abilities replaced. Now the 2 abilities that will be replaced will be abilities that come from the Leviathan, because those are the only other abilities in the alchemy board here. So if I just go ahead and do this, what I will get is I will get a Leviathan that has both abilities from the corpse pile. So now the Leviathan has these abilities here. And then the corpse pile abilities have been completely randomized into this Echo and this Swarm confuse one random enemy item. So that's how alchemy works at base. And then I have items called reagents, and reagents are special items that have alchemy abilities, and these affect how the alchemy works. So in this case, the fairy wings will swap the cooldown of the left and right adjacent items. So I could take the fairy wings here and put it with the corpse pile there and put the mausoleum key there. What I should end up with is the corpse pile should get a cooldown of 2.3 seconds because that's the mausoleum key's cooldown. And then the mausoleum key should get 5.9 seconds. So I throw that in there. This became corrupted. This is another mechanic. If you don't do a complex enough alchemy, for lack of a better word, there's a chance to gain a corrupted ability, which is a negative ability, an ability that's not helpful at all, that also cannot be replaced or removed by normal means. So unfortunately, my mausoleum key got bricked because it only has one ability slot, and that ability slot got corrupted. So that's basically useless. I could sell that. But the corpse pile now has a 2.3 second cooldown, and it's got the mausoleum key ability because that got randomized in there. So now I have a very low cooldown corpse pile, which could be useful in some situations depending on what its ability is. And that's basically how the alchemy system works. So it's kind of like a slot machine when you don't use any reagents. So that's a good way of like getting an item base that, you know, you could just try to RNG your way into like a very strong base item. And then the goal is to use the reagents to further control how the alchemy works so that you can get the exact item that you want. That's how the system works. And then of course, when you go into combat, it's just like an auto battler system. I unfortunately don't have enough room, but I could put the Leviathan here. Oh, and there's no combat notes. I have my map shrunk down quite a bit because I'm going to test something, but I mean, we could go to the boss here. Let's just see. So these are the grow board events here. I can increase the size of my board. And so this is kind of like a Slay the Spire-esque map. All of these nodes are different upgrade opportunities. In the full version of the map, again, this is shrunk down for debug purposes, but in the full version of the map, there will be a lot of combat encounters. Combat is the primary way that you earn currency. Currency is necessary for doing alchemy, purchasing things at the shop. Certain upgrade events, like the health upgrade event, will allow you to spend currency to get better upgrades. And then each of these three regions has a boss at the end. In this case, this is Mayor Albrecht. And it's an auto battler, so once you've got your board all set up with all of your abilities and all your items and whatnot, you just click Start Combat and you watch it play out. The enemy works the same way. They just have their own set of items. Like these are items that the player cannot typically get. And then I can click the auto resolve button if I don't want to watch the animation play out. Unfortunately, I died here. I can resurrect based on how many resurrection stones I have, but I'm just going to put this God mode item in so I auto win and then we'll continue on. So I'm just trying to see if I get that board size increase after the boss. There we go. So yeah, that's how it works. I wonder how it will feel trying to deal with enhancement reagents. Those always feel intended to mix with a single item, so having to get a bunch of them together not to fear corruption list seems a little counterintuitive. Yeah, probably we'll need to tweak that. What time is it? It is 1:11. Hello, Tricky Lady. Welcome, welcome. Interesting, that's a cool mechanic. Can you do alchemy anytime you want outside of combat, I'm assuming? Yeah, you can even do alchemy in combat. Like, the only board that... oh, wait, can you do that? Let me think. Yeah, I think so during combat, the only board that gets locked down is your combat board for obvious reasons. But I think you can even do alchemy while combat is happening, because these, like your stash board and your alchemy board are not locked during combat. So yeah, you can do alchemy whenever you want. It was kind of funny, like the original version of this game many, many months ago, alchemy was actually an event that you would have to use in the game, but then I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Like the whole point, the whole hook of this game is the alchemy system, so it's just a persistent feature that you can use whenever you want. I'm cheating, yeah, I'm cheating. So let me just actually make sure that's correct. I'll turn the speed down. So can I actually do alchemy in here? Oh, I can, look at that. So I can do alchemy while everything's happening in the background. And I died, unfortunately. That's the end run screen, and then you've got all of your end run statistics here. What your final board looked like, the enemy board that you died to. Your final combat log is also here if you want to read through that. And then they got the run statistics here with a little copy to clipboard button, so you all can share that on Discord if you know, did an absurd amount of damage or whatever. So yeah, that's Alka Mortis in a nutshell. Anyway, let's go back in. Of course, you know, it's a typical roguelike, so you got your difficulty options here, and then you've got different characters that have different characteristics, I guess you could say. Different starting items, different starting artifacts, different starting health amounts, all that good stuff. Everything looks so nice. I like the style. It's a big upgrade from your last game. I forgot the name, sorry. Yeah, I agree, yeah. Gunforged was, dare I say, a little amateurish. But I definitely think Alka Mortis is a lot better in every regard. So, yeah, appreciate it. I don't have any resurrection stones. Huh? Wait a minute. Is that wrong? Why do I have no resurrection stones? Is that a bug? Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to investigate that. I think it may be related to the fact that I used the resurrection stone in the previous run. But, okay, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna have to redo this. Are you worried that the game might get complicated enough that you just sound crazy when explaining it? Well, maybe. No, I think, so I'm trying to make it, it's just going to be complex at the end of the day, and I think that's kind of the audience that I'm going for. Like, I think the appeal of this game is people who are more into like the strategy aspect of it and like min-maxing, and not so much about like, you know, the fact that it's an auto battler is kind of nice, because then it's like all of the brain power goes into like setting up the board initially and like figuring out and taking as much time as you need to figure out like what's the optimal placement and everything. And then the combat encounters are really just like DPS checks against you, right? Like, is your build good enough? Like, did you do a good enough job optimizing your build? But I think in order for this game to have replay value, it does need to have a high amount of complexity. So, which I think it does. I think the complexity is there in a good way. It's just one of those things where there's not really a simple way to explain this. And actually, this is a problem that I'm having with like, you know, a new trailer is in the works. And one of the problems is like, how do you explain the game in the trailer so that people understand what's going on? Makes me want to make my game look nice too. I actually spent today making a good looking score display for my game. Oh, very nice. What's your game about? Your score is the amount of fans you get, so the score display is a crowd of people cheering, growing. Oh, nice. What do you think about Quebble's game? I saw your comment under his video, and it would be cool to hear more about what you think about the whole thing with sales in general. Look, I mean, I think obviously Quebble has a very high degree of skill. I mean, I think the art style is beautiful. I think the game is like solid. I mean, I haven't played it, so, but from what I've seen of the game, it looks really solid. I just think it's one of those things where like, you know, I've had this experience too, where it's like, you know, the game that I release on Steam, it's a little bit like, it could have used a little bit more development time, maybe a little bit more playtesting. I mean, this is the first game, Alka Mortis is the first game I'm making where I'm getting regular playtests in, and that's been really helpful, right? Because to catch all the issues that players are going to have with the game before you actually offer it for sale is an incredibly valuable thing. I don't know if Quebble did any of that. But it's one of those things where, like, if it's one of the first games that you're releasing on Steam, like, you're going to make these mistakes. Like, that is an inevitability. Like, there's just going to be some blind spots that you have where if you had done something differently, or if you had paid more attention to this, or if you had collected more feedback early, you could have avoided a lot of the issues. But that's just something that you have to learn by doing, right? And so it's like, it's an inevitability in that sense, I think. You know, I think it's just one of those things where you have to just do it and you have to learn from experience, and like, you'll take those learnings into the next game. So I'm very confident that Quibble will take whatever happened with the release of his game, he'll learn a lot from it, and he'll take the skills that he very clearly already has from like a game design and art perspective, and he'll just make sure that those are being complemented by the other efforts of like refining the game prior to it being on Steam and all that good stuff. So I think it's like, you know, like I said in the comment, it sucks in the moment. I've been there to release a game and it basically sells nothing, and it's like, I spent so much time on this, but still, at the end of the day, you learn a ton from that. And Alka Mortis would not be as quality as I think that it is if I didn't have all of those other failures from the past, right? So, you know, it's just one of those things. I think it's one of those necessary steps. But you know, I'm just a guy on the internet. You know, I've sold like 4,500 copies of games total on Steam, so I'm definitely not an authority on this, but that's just been my experience. So complex is good, I think, as long as you have a good learning curve, right? Yeah. Yeah. Good for him for going into it, yeah. My game is going well, but has now hit the point where it's outgrew the editor it's being made in. Oh no. It's a local multiplayer platform or PvP game, similar to Astro Duel, if you've played it. If you don't know, it's a similar to Duck game, essentially a party fighter type game. Oh, nice. Those games are fun. Those games are really fun. Unfortunately, most of my friends are at the stage in life where they have little babies now, and so we don't have as much gaming time. It's much harder to get a group of 4 people together to play a party game like that, but I played a lot of those in college. There was a lot of college nights spent playing those kinds of games, and of course League of Legends as well, but that's not really a party game, but anything's a party game if you try hard enough, right? 4,500 is a lot more than most people. Yeah, I mean, I think I would say that I'm like modestly moderate, not like whatever the level below moderately successful is, that's like where I would place myself on Steam sales. But preach, kids ruining everything. Yeah. Baby girl, yeah. Social life, what's that? Yeah, it's okay. Alright, so hopefully this is a little bit nicer. I just wanted to make sure that all the board upgrades are working after the boss combats. Actually, I'm realizing now... Oh, I have a sapling. I was like, why did that give me a reagent? Okay, we'll beat Archangel Melzahel, goodbye. And then that's victory. Sweet. Alright, I think that's working. So let me swap all these settings back. Map region height, put that back to 0. Okay. We can close all these things. Okay. Re-implement boss board growth. Okay, let's see what else we got. Sound effects I'm not gonna do on the stream because it's just annoying. Oh wait, I just realized I have this too loud. Uh-oh. I think the background music was too loud. Oops. So that's the annoying thing about like my OBS setup is like when I do sound effects on the on stream, I have to change the gain of a bunch of audio sources, and then I always forget to change it back. Always forget to change it back. Spent a long time playing League. Now I'm one of those that has no time due to kids. Yeah. Yeah, I wasted good chunks of my life on League of Legends for sure. But I finally broke the addiction. I'm like 3 years clean now, so. Anyway. Should probably fix this bug. I don't know why that's happening. Is that happening for the other things too? So what happens? So let's just see. Hello, Mel's. Welcome. Good to see you. I have twins, so I haven't done much side out of their stuff. Would be a very good lesson for him. And have you read that long comment under his video about how the Steam page isn't unique and in general the game looks similar to other games? Yeah, I got many of those similar comments for Gunforged. And I think, you know, honestly, I think I made a lot of the mistakes. Well, I don't like to use the, I don't want to accuse Quebble of having made mistakes, but I would say that the mistakes that I made in Gunforged would have been caught had I done any playtesting prior to releasing the game and releasing the demo. Because I got a lot of similar comments, right? Like, why is Gunforged different than X, Y, or Z game? Or like, the art style doesn't stand out to me. Or I got a bunch of comments where people were like, I don't want to play as an old man. I was like, it was one of those things where I was like, I didn't really expect that to be an issue at all. But I received that comment multiple times, like, the main character is not appealing to me, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm like, the main character is just like, I mean, that's just the vehicle through which you like move around. Like, does the theme of the character matter that much? And the answer is yes, it does, actually. It does. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I kind of leaned into a much more distinct visual theme for Alchemortis, is that the theme actually does make a huge, like, whatever your game is draped in, whatever theme kind of like presents your game, actually makes a huge impact on the experience of the player, really, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I received a lot of those kind of comments that Quebble got. People said my Gunforged Steam page wasn't good. They said the trailer wasn't good. They said there was nothing visually distinct about it. They said they didn't like the art style, that it wasn't different enough from other games, etc., etc. Hello, Wooius. Welcome, welcome. I found that the theme of the game sets the player fantasy sometimes even more than the gameplay. Yeah. Like, I was wondering, like, if I made a game that was mechanically identical to Alchemortis, but it was like you play as a biker gang or something, right? Like, would that be as appealing to as broad of an audience? Or if I made it like, I'm trying to think of something like, okay, if I made it like aquarium themed, like you've got a bunch of little shrimps and you got a bunch of little nano fish or whatever, like, would that be as appealing? I don't know. I'm guessing not, you know, even if it was like mechanically identical. Okay, I want to use a resurrection stone here. So I've got 12 and 0. I want to see if these stats carry over into the next run. So 12 and 0. That would be bad if they were carrying over. So I die here. To menu. Then I select a new character. So it should start with 25 health and 5 blood and 1 resurrection stone. But I go in here. Maybe I'm just deceiving myself. Maybe I had already spent a resurrection stone in that run. Did I already spend a resurrection stone? Now I don't know. Okay, well, this is correct here. Did I spend a resurrection stone? Maybe I did. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I was talking. Okay, well, that's not a bug, I guess. Well, I'll just pay attention and see if it comes up again. Support secondary card tags and booster descriptions. I want to do that. I want to fix brittle bones. Add a new game button to the main menu screen. Add a line trail to fire effect. I did that. Add a skip button for the artifact event. Okay, let's do this one. Let me think. Upgrade. Create skip event button. Okay. Is there a bug here? Oh, connect skip event button. Right, okay. So I need to basically copy this. Artifact event state machine. I know the chat is building up here, but typically what I do on this stream is I'll do 5 to 10 minutes of work and then I'll catch up on the chat. So let's do this. Skip button is equal to context.gameUI. Create skip event button. Let's do on skipped here. Okay. And then I need to do artifact container. Oops, that's not right. Stop opening the constructor. Okay. Let's put it up here. Add skip validator. I don't need to do that. Okay. Well, I do need that there, but I also need it here. I think here what I can do is I can just do clickable coordinator dot disable mouse input for starters. I think that's it actually. I just need to make sure to block click events so I can't like skip and then quickly grab an artifact. So I think that's correct. And then we can do artifact container.connect skip event button, skip button. We're gonna do await. Oh, I gotta store this, I guess. Await skip button dot play out is skipped. And then we're gonna change the state cleanup. Is that all that I need to do? I think so. Artifact is event number 9. So I can click generate test map, change this to 9, and then we can test it. I think your art style for Alchemortis is really good. Thank you, Mel's. Thank you. The thing is that it's impossible to please everyone. Yeah, that's true. I'm actually British. Definitely not dark fantasy and medieval is just straight up more appealing than other styles. I think that's true. aquarium, I think I have a friend that would instantly pick it up because of that. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think any theme you use would be appealing to some segment of the Steam player base, but I think probably this style is a little bit more appealing than anything else I could have chosen. Not anything else, but I think you know what I'm saying. All right, so if I click this, okay, perfect. Oh, we do need to play the reroll text out. Is that not happening? Okay, so artifact event container on skipped, play reroll text out. Oh, that's an interesting idea. What happens if I do, okay. So I'm gonna click reroll and then I'm gonna click skip real quick. I think there should be like a shared tween here. There is not. Okay. I'm just gonna fix this right now because I know this is gonna be a problem. All right. Reroll tween, kill if valid. Reroll tween is equal to create tween. Okay, and then we'll do this. All right. When it comes to the Steam audience, yeah, that would be fun. Too late to change the entire theme. I think Steam audiences are into dark medieval in general. Did you reuse the alchemical residue for that one card in your inventory? Yeah, kind of. It's the same color palette and same general style, but it's not the exact same art. We're going to the medieval fantasy theme for Realm Keeper. It fits as probably the most appealing theme you can pick for a game. You resurrected once, but I'm not sure if that cost a stone. Yeah, I think that probably is what happened. I think Alchemortis looks very unique, but in some parts they have different color palettes. It should have different color palettes like Inscription. Give more hook points in the trailer and screenshots. Yeah, I've heard that a couple times. I might just cheat and have like palette swap options in the settings, and then just like have some of the screenshots on the store page like use the palette swap. Because I don't really want to, like, I would have to find other palettes that kind of complement the existing one, and then I have to like change, or at least do like a palette swap shader on certain parts. So yeah, I'm not sure, but that is a comment I've gotten before. But at the same time, you know, I think there are some successful games that have a very limited palette and they don't really expand beyond that. I don't know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I would, you know, it's one of those situations where I'd hate to do a bunch of like artwork just for the sole purpose of making the Steam page more appealing. But I guess if I have to do it, I'll do it. What was I doing? Oh yeah. So I'm going to click reroll, and then I'm going to click skip. Oh, that did not work. Well, I don't need to fuss over that necessarily. It's just a super minor thing, but I just don't want the... Well, I can fix it. Let's see. Let's just do this. I'm just going to do something a little bit hacky here. I guess it's not like super hacky, but it's just kind of weird to do that, I guess. Obviously, the game needs to look and feel good to play, but just being a medieval game will increase your baseline chances of success. I think that's true. I mean, you look at, especially other similar games in the genre, like you look at like He Is Coming or The King Is Watching is kind of like loosely similar. Yeah, I think, and then you've got like, I mean, there's a lot of like big medieval games. I just think, yeah, it's just a very popular theme. So I don't think you can go wrong necessarily with doing like medieval dark fantasy. That's just my impression though. I'm just like speculating. I have no data to back any of this up. If someone types XD, there's a 99% chance they are Polish. More of an age thing than a nationality one. Gonna hop off. I've got some housekeeping to do. Have a good one. All right, thanks again for the raid. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Hello, Neozoid. Welcome, welcome. These Zoomers don't know the OG emojis, yells at Sky, yeah. Even to this day, even Zoomers. Want to buy unlocks for palette swaps for specific cards? That's an interesting idea. Hooded figure, want to buy some witch dust, kid? That's funny. My cousin that is 8 years old uses it more often than me. I used to just hold the K key to reply with acknowledgement. The first old school emoji, if you want to call it that, I learned was... what even is that called? Carrot? Upper carrot? When I played on MMO... When I played an MMO RPG in the 2000s? In 2000? I look at backpack battles and I see all the furry anime girls as the characters, all the cutesy items, and it's just a turnoff. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big reasons why I didn't really play... it's not that I didn't really play it. I've never played backpack battles. I've watched like gameplay of backpack battles though, which is why I think I can say like Alcamoris is inspired by it a little bit. I mean, it's definitely in the same genre, but yeah, I just don't... The art style and the theme is not appealing to me either. But that's okay, right? My daughter thought I was crazy when I told her about Rafflecondra. That's funny. All right, let's see. I think I fixed all this. So the reason why I'm adding a skip button to this event type is because there are a bunch of artifacts that have downsides to them. So they're like risk-reward artifacts. They're not straight buffs. And as the artifact list is growing, it's becoming more and more likely that your 3 options will be something that has a downside. And there may be situations where you just don't want to take any of the available downsides presented to you. And I don't want to force the player to have to take it. Like originally, I typically don't add a skip button for any events that are purely beneficial. So for example, the booster event doesn't have a skip button because if you don't want the card, you can just sell it and you'll just get blood out of it. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to have the player like just skip the event when they could get more benefit out of like selling the card if they don't want it, right? So let's say that I don't need any cards. I just take this one here and just like sell all these, right? And now I've got more money, right? But for something like an artifact where it may not be that there's an obvious good choice, we definitely want to have a skip button there. And the same with the upgrade, right? Like there are situations where you may not want to upgrade a card, or maybe all of your cards are already upgraded and so you can't do anything, right? So anyway, or maybe you just want the money because every time you skip an event, you get five of the currency item. So it may be the case that you're happy with how your build is doing. You don't really want to upgrade anything, so you just take the money to have it. Anyway. So there's that. So Brittle Bones is a little bit of a problem here. So Brittle Bones is one of the characters, and I thought it would be fun to make... So every character kind of has a gimmick, right? And the gimmick is defined by what their starting artifacts are. So Brittle Bones' gimmick is that he has 1 HP, but he has a bunch of artifacts that make armor more powerful. So the idea is that you're kind of pushing this guy into an armor build, right? The problem, though, that I'm encountering is that a lot of times, even with the early combats, you don't have enough time to actually build up any armor before the enemy just smacks you and kills you because you have 1 health. So I think I need... I have a fix in mind for that. And I just need to figure out how I want to do that fix. So like if I go here, I'll probably die because, well, I definitely don't have any armor items, but even with the mausoleum key here. Oh, Oh, right. This is since damage was taken. So anyway, it was really hard to build up any armor before you started taking damage. And so I think I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm thinking about making an artifact for brittle bones, or at least reworking one of these artifacts, maybe this Gorget or Gorget, or however you say it. Instead of doing this, which says it prevents any damage from bypassing armor, I think instead what I might do is I might say something like take 99% of current health as damage, and then convert the damage taken into armor. So it's functionally the same, right? You get driven down to 1 HP, but whatever HP value you had taken away will get converted to armor immediately upon combat start. So I think I might do something like that. The only problem is like, yeah, I mean, that's probably fine because armor only lasts. How long does armor last? Shield status. Armor lasts for 6 seconds. That seems kind of low. I'm going to actually turn this up to 10 seconds. This is how we do balancing, everyone. It's vibes-based balancing. Oh, that seems low. Buff. I do think that's a little bit low though, because a lot of items in the game are like around 10-second cooldown. So I want the armor to persist a little bit. Like there should be some potential to build up armor. Although depending on your build, there will be a soft cap because you'll get to like an equilibrium point where like armor is falling off, but you're applying new armor. And so there's like a, based on whatever your current build is, there's like a soft cap to what the max amount of armor is. So this basically just increases the soft cap of armor you can have. But yeah, there's still the problem of like brittle bones is really brittle. Imagine my shock when brittle bones is brittle. But I think we can fix that. Elite. Words like pwned, yeah. That was a big deal. Stop making me feel like a mummy. Nostalgia's going on here. We used to have to express our emotions with creativity. I think my favorite is the salute, yeah. Seeing brittle bones walk makes me crack up every time. Yeah, me too. I think it's, you know, somebody, so I showed somebody the Leviathan and they went, oh, he's so cute. And I'm like, I mean, I don't, for some reason, the things that I draw tend to be like kind of cute looking and it's just like, you know, whatever. Like I'm kind of just leaning into that. So like brittle bones is like goofy, which I think it actually complements the game pretty well because it's like it's very dark otherwise in terms of like the themes and everything. But then you've got like goofy looking creatures and like goofy run animations and it's kind of like a little bit more lighthearted, right? So I think it works. He does run really funny. I love his little pet moth too, the little moth that's orbiting him. I just think it's just kind of funny. He actually says that in the flavor text, something about his pet moth. Brittle bones. Oh goodness. Anyway, so I think I might just rework the Gorget. This is not actually, I don't really think it's that impactful as it stands currently. So I'll change this one to be what I said it would be, which is like take the 99% of current health as damage and then apply the amount of damage taken as armor. I think I'll do that. I think I've used XD more than anything else. Is there a level progression system for the characters? So the way that the progression system works is that it's all goal-based. It's all unlocks-based. So the characters... let's see. I can turn off ignore unlocks. So all the characters and the cards and everything, those are unlocked based on completing certain goals. So here, everything's unlocked. I go to the characters here. So the Lich is unlocked by acquiring 100 undead items, right? So however you do that, on whatever difficulty you do that at, that's the goal, right? The Priestess is unlocked by applying 20,000 stacks of poison. The, what is this guy? Oh, is this Brittle Bones? Brittle Bones is unlocked by winning a run at difficulty 4, right? So yeah, all these things have different unlock conditions, and I haven't finished the unlock conditions. Like, most of this stuff is just unlocked by default, basically. But the goal is to, like, you know, make all of the, not all the items, but a good chunk of like the items and artifacts and characters all unlockable based on doing certain things. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm sold on that. There's a part of me that kind of wants to do the traditional like meta currency and like have a skill tree where you can put your points into it and that's what drives your unlocks. But I guess I'm kind of taking a page out of Slay the Spire is that way, right? It's all goal based, if I'm not mistaken. And then Balatro is also that way, where you unlock the new decks by completing certain challenges. And maybe that's the good way to phrase it. Like, maybe I should start introducing like more challenge-based unlocks, like, you know, deal 250 damage in a single hit or something like that, right? Stuff like that. I think indie devs have more to prove than studio-backed games, and consequently most successful indie games have more unique and fun art, story, and gameplay than studio-backed. What do you guys think? Yeah, I don't know if I would frame it as like having something to prove. I think that it's just, a lot of times indie devs, they have nothing to lose, right? They're not pouring $10 million into the marketing budget. They don't have these super high development costs. And so a lot of like very successful indie games are just like made by someone who was doing it as a hobby at night, or somebody that's in like my position where they lose their job and they say, well, let's try the indie dev thing, right? It's like the stakes are relatively low. And so there's more room to take risks or to like bend the rules or break conventions and whatnot. And also, I just think it's the case that a singular person's vision is not always, but if you're going to get a truly like genre defining game or a truly unique hit game, that's, to me, it seems like that's easier to achieve when you've got a singular person who has a very strong vision. And that's just not how big studios work, right? Like, big studios fall more into like the design by committee. They don't give like absolute control over every aspect of the game to one single person. So, but I think that's true of anything, right? Like, I think a lot of the most innovative or attractive pieces of art generally are made by one or a handful of people that have a very strong vision, right? That's kind of what I think, but I'm just a guy, so whatever. I just blew 3K on nothing. Uh-oh. I'm sorry to hear that. It's the guy who saved my Godot project 4 years ago. Are you talking about me? I saved your Godot project. How did that happen? Hello, Albert Chozenko. Welcome. Crazy idea. A card that creates X armor instantly, but when the card triggers, it removes its armor amount from the stack. Oh, interesting. That is an interesting idea. Hello, Lukey. Welcome back. And exhausts itself after that. At the start of battle, you get armor for the immediate safety. Yeah, that's a good one. Other cards can build up armor over time after that. I like the unlock-based progression. Complements the alchemy system more than the traditional systems. Yeah, I think so. I think it'll work. My current production budget is $50. Any money received will increase the budget by X dollars. Yeah. I'm a much bigger fan of progression unlocks, like Slay the Spire 2, because it means I'll eventually see everything. It'd be cool to have unlocks for beating the game using a fire build, though I'm not sure how you would even measure that in this game. I think the way I would do it is what I mentioned. So it would be like apply, 100 fire stacks in one execution, like at once, right? And so that would be like basically impossible to do unless you're doing a fire build, right? So I think that's a good heuristic for detecting whether the player is doing a fire build or not, right? Or like do 250 damage in one hit is like a good heuristic for somebody who's focusing on a damage build, right? Someone tipped us $50 on itch. Dang, that's nice. About 4 years ago, I posted on Reddit about a project that wouldn't run when exported, and you helped me fix it. That's how I found out about your channel. Well, awesome. I'm glad to help. I don't remember that at all, but I'm happy to hear that it was helpful. That's pretty cool. Glad to have you here. So now I'm now successful game dev who has sold 1 copy. There you go. There you go. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will do the Gorget rework that I was talking about. So yeah, give me 3 minutes. I'll be right back, and we will continue on. All right, let's rework this artifact. What do you think? First, I need to figure out where it's currently used. My artifact system is a little bit weird. So some artifacts, the way that I'm implementing their functionality is I'm just doing a check to see if I have the artifact at the location in the code where that's affected. Because the other way to do this would be to create like a whole pipeline for like, oh, now I got to pass this damage context object over into like through this artifact, you know, this base artifact class, and then I got to call the proper method and then return a result, and based on that result pass it along. And it's like a lot of times it's just like I just need to do like a one-line check, like do I have the Gorget or not, and if I do, then like block the damage, right? Oh, I just realized Brittle Bones is gonna like decimate himself if he ever gets self-poison. That's funny. I'll leave that there though. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I have a more systematic treatment of artifacts through like these various like events, like on damage dealt, on turn tick, so on and so forth. But then there's places where it's like, I just need to do like this one line check, you know? So I just check if I have the artifact or not. But anyway, that's no longer necessary, so we'll get rid of this one. And we're going to change the Gorget, the Gorget, the Georgette. Do you use custom colors for your VS Code, or is this all the standard colors? I have the Dracula theme, so that's what I'm doing. I could have sworn I had another artifact that dealt damage. Is it the poison vial? I don't remember what I called it. Poison heal, I think. Yeah, take 25% maximum health as damage when combat starts. Okay, so let's take a look at the poison heal. On combat started. How does that work, actually? Sorry, I just need to re-understand how this system works. Let's put poison heal in here. And then we'll just do training dummy. I'm graduating high school today, so I gotta head out now to prepare. Good luck. All right, congratulations to you. Have a good day. Have fun. And thanks for stopping by. Forgot to put skip menu back on. Okay. So if I start this and pause, oops, that does not go into the combat log. I thought I fixed this. Did I hallucinate that? Am I an LLM? Where did that go? I'm gonna have to look. Ah, shoot. I'm gonna have to look through my... artifacts here. Let's see. Ignore unlocks. I forgot which artifact it was. I fixed this. Maybe it was the basilisk eye. Let me think. So there's a problem here where... No, it's not the basilisk eye. So the artifacts, if they have combat effects, they're bypassing... on a lot of cases, they're bypassing the turn history, which means that, like, if you have something that scales based off of a paralysis applied, the basilisk eye doesn't actually contribute to that because it's bypassing the whole system and just applying the debuff directly. And so I've been trying to fix that. Oh, that's not right. Bubbling tar. Oh, these are not being formatted. Okay. So many things to do. Unlock descriptions for artifacts are not being formatted. Bug. Okay, we'll fix that later. Unlocked by acquiring during a run. Okay. Adds an immovable monolith. First purchase. I want to rework that one too. That's not super interesting. Maybe I never fixed this. Maybe it's the vampire fangs, actually. Let me look. Maybe I just need to set the initiator board to the player board. Okay, let me... This is a little bit... It's a little bit confusing. Poison heal. Initiator board. We'll just put this in here. Context helper board manager, get player board. I wonder why did I think that I had fixed that already? Interesting. Anyway, let's just see if it works for the Venom here. I should see this, as long as it ends up in the combat log. Actually, is that right? Does this add a damage dealt entry? Track damage dealt. Yeah, it should. So if I go here, I should see that I take however much damage. Nope. Okay. I'm going to need to take a look at that. I guess I'm not going to be able to fix that right now. Okay. I just need to come up with like a... I guess I need to come up with like a systematic way of doing that. Do I have that in here somewhere? I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but... We'll just add this to the backlog. Any artifacts which do combat-related things need to be properly tracked in the turn history so they can synergize with builds, I guess. Okay. Anyway, we'll just do the Gorget rework. Now, what did I change in here? Why does it say that this changed? Oh, right, because I removed that. Okay, all right. Okay, onward to the thing that we're actually trying to do. On combat started. Okay, new damage context. So this would be, we want to seal. Let's do this. Health to take is equal to player board dot health component dot. Let's do private const in float health to take times health to take, and we're going to want to do... Actually, why am I doing that? Let's change this actually. Do I want to do that? %99 is easy to describe, but what I really want to do is get down to 1 health. So maybe it's going to be something like, I don't know, let's just do this then. Let's just do health to take is current health -1. This should always be non-zero, but we'll just do mathf.max of 0 or 1 and this. Or 0, I guess. We'll just make sure it's not going to go below 0. Okay, damage type.physical. Damage amount is equal to floor to int, health to take. Okay, and then we're going to do player board dot board combat component dot apply, or board status what is it? Status component dot apply status. Apply status context. Receiver board, initiator board, status type, status factory, stacks to apply, buy card, turn context. Okay. Receiver board is equal to context dot board manager dot get player board. Initiator board is equal to null. Buy card is equal to null. Is critical hit is equal to false. Status type is equal to type of shield status. Status factory. Stacks to apply is equal to health to take. Let's just do this up here. Turn context. Okay. Is that right? All right, let's go to Brittle Bones now. We're going to set the health to 20. Okay. And now we need to change the Gorget. What do I want to say? This should be take current health I don't know what to say here. -1 as damage on combat start and apply armor equal to damage taken. I don't know what to say here. Take damage equal to 1 less than current health, something like that, on combat start. Or I could even say just like well, I guess that's fine. I don't know. High school, I wish I could go back to those beautiful days when I didn't know integrals. Yeah. Something I was wondering about the other day, are you going to change the health indicator liquids as well with your enhanced art style for the rest of the game? They look somewhat flat right now. Yeah, that's a good point. I may take a look at that. I've been starting to do like more of a pass on a lot of the art stuff. Because right now I think the game, it feels a little bit static visually. So I've been adding, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been adding, like I've been improving the visual effects a little bit, just very minor. When you hover over these map nodes, they do a little like shift animation now, which previously they were just static. So I'm just generally like, I'm getting to the point in the development where I want to do more like, just make the game feel more gamey, right? Like just add a lot more interactivity and like animation and stuff. So anything like any improvements to like how this is displayed down here will be part of like just that ongoing effort, I would say. But yeah, definitely a good spot to update for sure. What's that program for the checkmark list? That's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Do you use the Godot version of scriptable object to store item data? Yes, I do. They're called custom resources. And that's basically how, so the way my system works is that I've got for all the main things in the game, so artifacts, cards, characters, events, I have custom resources for those things. And those are basically, they contain all the data that you would expect, like the data that's consistent and doesn't change. So like the art and critical chance, some other configuration things down here. And then I have a registry system, and the registry system, at least that's what I call it, it loads up all these custom resources on startup, and it creates essentially a table or a dictionary out of all of those entries. And then every registry has APIs for like getting the custom resource associated with an ID, or like instantiating a card scene from an ID, or getting the artifact concrete implementation, that like an instance of the C# class that corresponds to that artifact. And that's done through like, if I look at artifact constructors here, this is a giant dictionary which basically just, I can take an artifact ID and get the concrete class implementation instance out of that. And this is generated code. So anytime I add an artifact, this file gets automatically updated. So this is not something that I'm doing by hand. This is just procedurally generated, for lack of a better word. Algorithmically generated. And so this is just a very nice way of like going from a string ID to like the actual like class instances that I need to make that artifact work. So yeah, but it all starts with the custom resource system. And then like, since it's loading from the disk, it's loading all these resources on startup. I actually don't need to do anything other than like add the resource. And then I also need to add the script to correspond to like the gameplay logic for that resource. And that's it. It just gets tied into the system automatically after that. So it's largely a data-driven approach. I still need to write the gameplay-specific logic in the actual class that corresponds to that resource. But again, the way that I'm relating those things is I'm relating the ID. So if I go to card constructors, I'm relating the ID to like an anonymous function that returns a new instance of that class. So yeah, that's how it works. Thank you, Manadono, for the party of 3 raid. Appreciate that. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Make the background trees jiggle when the mouse goes over them, like a gust of wind howling through the forest or so. Yeah, and the windmill speeds up. The problem with those is that those are actually tile map images, so it'd be really hard to animate them. But like I said, like I want to put more interactivity in the game for sure. So yeah, we'll see. We will see. Anyway, let me set my character as Brittle Bones. Here. That's a nice way to bind functionality with resources. I think so. You know, it's always tricky. How do you go from like the data to like the gameplay logic associated with that data? And if your game is simple enough, you could just make a generic framework where you can define everything in the data, and then the system is purely data driven. My game is just a little bit too complex to the point where like that framework would be really, really difficult to implement compared to just writing the gameplay logic. Oh, I don't have... Oh, I didn't update the translations. Classic move. Anyway, let's see what happens. So I should get 19 armor when combat starts. Oh, 14. Oh, right. Because it did 5 damage from the venom, and then it takes the current health. Right, okay. That makes sense. So I should actually turn off the test player artifacts here. I was just watching some of your other Godot videos. Really great and helpful stuff. This game looks great. Thank you, Peanut GDP. Appreciate it. What's the biggest aha moment you've had developing Alchemortis? That is a good question. Biggest aha moment? I think it was a couple of months ago, maybe not a couple, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, when I was still like trying to get the gameplay systems together. Like I was trying to chase this goal of like, I want the player to feel like when they make a good decision that is immediate, like there's an immediate payoff there. Like I want the player to feel like, oh, does this actually work? And they like put the build together and then they go into combat and it does work. And they go, oh my gosh, it does work. So I was trying to get that to work in the game, and it was a little bit difficult, but there was a time I was playtesting like 5 or 6 months ago or whatever, and me as a developer, I finally had that moment where like my game was complex enough that I couldn't possibly like keep all of the possible interactions in my head. And so I was playing it and I was like, wait a minute, is this going to work? If I do this and this and this, and I put this here, and then I click the combat button, it was like the strategy that I came up with in my head worked exactly as I expected it to. And it was like, that was the aha moment. It was like, okay, yes, finally, like I got an inkling of like what I was trying to achieve. And it wasn't perfect. And like a lot of the development effort since that time has been to like make that a more common occurrence and like make that the core of like the enjoyment of the game. And so, but that was like the first time where I like my efforts paid off to create that feeling. And so, yeah. That was a very fun moment for sure. Okay, let's see. Boom, 19 armor. And it lasts for 10 seconds. Let me see if that works actually. So yeah, that seems good. So it sets my health to 1 essentially, which still gives me room to apply more armor and healing, but it just gives me that little bit of armor at the start, which should help with brittle bones specifically. Okay. How hard is it to make a large game with a 3-person team in Godot? I'm not the right person to ask. I don't. It depends on what you mean by large game, but I also don't have experience, like much experience working on a team anyway. The limited experience that I have with working on a team with Godot specifically is I did a couple of game jam games with my friend that were like 72-hour jams, but we had clear distinction of responsibilities. Like, I mean, we obviously collaborated on like the gameplay of those games, but you know, it was my job to do all the gameplay programming, and then his job was the art and a lot of the level design as well. So we had very distinct like roles, I guess you could say, which definitely helps because then you don't step on each other's toes as much, right? And it's also kind of fun because like I found myself developing for those game jam games specifically. I developed a lot of like tooling that could be used only in the editor. So it was really easy for him to go in and just like design a level. Like, of course I had to show him like how to set up the scene, but like, you know, I had all these like custom tools where like, you just got to configure this data here if you want it to work like this and that. And like, you can just like drag and drop and connect these things together. And so he was able to like, without writing code, go in and like create levels and stuff. And that was really helpful. And it was really fun too, because like he was able to do more technical stuff, like actually setting up the game scenes, because I had just like built the frameworks to make that easy for him. Right. So that was a fun experience, but I just don't know, like I don't have any experience working on a team in a much larger project for a much longer period of time. So I don't know for sure. That makes sense. It would be the main programmer, the other person would be the artist, and the other person would be the secondary programmer. Gotcha. So I think that, I think the main thing is like, you just want to make sure not to step on each other's toes, right? Like, especially with Godot, like you can resolve merge conflicts with code, right? But if you have a merge conflict in a scene file, that's going to be a lot harder to address. Okay. So brittle bones is fixed. I wonder if it's easy to fix this unlock descriptions are not being formatted. I actually don't know. Okay, I just need a little extra property there, and then my unlock item, I think what I can do... Artifact description label.text is equal to base artifact.get description with hide addendum set to true. Okay, that should fix that. Let's take a look. Oh, I forgot to do highlight keywords. I still need that. Oops, I hope this doesn't crash. All right, let's take a look. You're welcome. Sorry I could be of more help, but doesn't hurt to ask. Okay, now it's working. Every 5 times damage is dealt, so I'm not seeing any placeholder strings anymore. These keywords are still being highlighted, so we're good. We are good. We are golden pony boy. I feel like I'm getting a lot of these tasks done, but the list isn't getting shorter. All right, support secondary card tags and booster descriptions. Let's take a look at this one now. So we've got revealed card tag. That revealed card tag. So this code, so basically this generate revealed info, that is for the boosters. So the way that the boosters work, booster is 8. Oh, I need to turn off the training dummy as well. So the way that the boosters work is they generate all their inventories ahead of time. And then what I do is I basically look at the inventory and I decide which keywords to pull out of that to display. So basically what happens is I look at the inventory of this item and then I just try to discern what kind of keyword I can pull out of it, right? So this says contains a guaranteed armor item. So if I click this, I'm going to get an item that applies armor or scales off of armor in some way. But I could get multiple things that scale off of armor, but I'm also going to get things that don't scale off of armor, right? But this inventory is generated first, and then I look at the cards and I basically just say, okay, what keywords can I pull out? And keywords could be tags like relic or ritual, or it could be any of the highlighted keywords in any of the abilities here. It's basically just something that I can, that's just how it works. So instead of trying to choose the keywords ahead of time and then generate the random loot table pickings to fit the keyword, I generate the pickings first, the options first, and then I just find a keyword that I want to use to describe that booster pack. So, but I have a little bit of randomness in here. Like there's a 50% chance that it will choose to identify an ability, and there's a 50% chance that it will choose to identify the tag instead. But there's also this fallback where if there are no keywords in the abilities that are available, which shouldn't happen in practice, but is a possibility, then it falls back to just choosing one random tag from the set of all tags in that booster. So basically, I have a secondary tag now, which I want to support. These are the orange tags. And so I think what I'm going to need to do here is I'm going to always use the standard tags as the absolute fallback because every item in the game has at least one tag. So this will always be safe to fall back to. But in terms of the randomness, I think I might just need to change this to like a 1/3 chance. So basically, we choose an ability if it's less than a 33% chance. And then we say, okay, if not select, well, let's see. The other problem here, okay, let's do this actually. Let's do var select tag, secondary tag is equal to rng.randf is less than 0.667. We don't want to use the number of the beast. It's a little, I'm not superstitious, I'm a little bit stitious though, right? Anyway, so select secondary would be if we're not selecting an ability. I was just joking about this, by the way. So select ability, RNG randf is less than 666, and then we'll do var select secondary tag, select tag is equal to not select ability, not select secondary tag. And then we're gonna have to do another one, is info to reveal selected is equal to false. Okay. Okay, so we have if selectability, if possible explanations.count is equal to 0, is greater than 0, we will set is info to reveal selected equals true, and we'll move this into here. So we need to keep track of if we're actually finding something to reveal, otherwise it could potentially not reveal anything. So we could say if, let's do the secondary tags. So let's do if select secondary tag. This will just be basically this. I'll just copy all this here for now. All secondary tags, select get secondary tags dot aggregate. So basically I'm just converting this into a big integer number. So I'm doing a bitwise OR across all the tags. So I just get one number that represents all the tags that are available in that booster. And then this becomes secondary card tag. We'll call this secondary tag as well. Revealed tags. So possible secondary tags. If possible secondary tags.count is greater than 0, we will set isInfo to reveal selected equals true, and we'll move this in here. And then the selected tag, this needs to be set revealed secondary card tag. And then secondary revealed tags. So the other thing about this is that I don't want to reveal the same tag twice. So I don't want to have two boosters that both say, hey, there's an undead item in this booster. I want each booster description to be unique. So that's why I'm adding the revealed ones to this set. Okay. So if select tag, select tag, or not isInfo reveal selected. So if both of these two things failed, we will choose a tag as a fallback. And or if we just selected a tag to begin with, then we'll go into this as well. Now I'm realizing that there's probably a problem here, which is that what happens if I have already revealed the tag and there's no other unique tag in this? That's probably gonna not work. So if possible, yeah, I guess that is a problem, isn't it? I'm just going to do this. This is going to be a little bit messy, but if possible, so basically I try to do this by selecting only the tags that haven't already been revealed. Actually, let's do this. This can probably be a little bit nicer. Let me back this up a little bit. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Oops. Var unique possible tags. Let's go to possible tags dot accept revealed tags to list. If unique possible tags, let's do this. Okay, so let's do final possible tags is equal to unique possible tags dot count. Otherwise, we'll just default. So that's a little bit nicer. So I'll just do the exception of all of the already revealed tags just on that list. And then if the unique tags, if there are no unique tags available, we'll just use the set of all possible tags. So it is possible in theory to have a duplicate tag reveal, but that should almost never happen in practice. But it's good to just be like, you know, defensive about this, I suppose. And then I think the rest of this is fine. Okay. So that's good. Now I need to figure out how to work this secondary card tag into the description here. Get revealed keyword. Okay, did I do it right? I don't know, we'll see. Would it be easier to maintain the card type as an enum instead of an int, so you don't have to reference the type file? I don't know where to, but so this is an enum, it's a flags enum. Which means that this is like, this can be used as like a bit mask. But maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean. Everything was going great until we put 666 in the code. Okay. Let's see if it works. So I actually don't know how I'm going to find a booster that has this, but... Oh, that one has undead items. Let's go see. Contains guaranteed reagent, undead, and reagent. Oh, it used reagent twice. Wait, did this bug just happen that I just fixed here? Hold up a second. Oh, am I not logging this? Oh yeah, here. I kind of want to investigate that. So I'll put the seed in there just so that next time I start, it will use the same seed. Let's see. It did give me an undead item. I really want to see, does that generate a new seed? It does. Let me see if I get the same. It should use the seed, I think. Yeah. So it put reagent twice. Interesting. So that's exactly what I was just talking about. So either something went wrong and I did it wrong, or this is a genuine case where it randomly chose a reagent item here, and then this one contains like nothing but reagent items, maybe? Oh. Ritual undead. Why did it choose reagent twice? Kind of wish it was the first option so I didn't have to come through this every time, but that's all right. So it couldn't choose undead, but it could have chosen ritual because ritual is not one of these things. Okay, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It should have chosen... It should have chosen unique tags for that. Basically do the filtering using bitwise mask, right? Yeah, exactly, yeah. Gotta love when you find a bug and fix it only for it to appear again. Story of my life. I love that Bone Man's walk cycle gets me every time. Thank you, yeah, I like it too. I like it too. So it's getting all the tags. It's setting up a list of possible tags. It's iterating over every card tag enum value and saying if the card tag is none or the tags of all the items in the boosters do not contain this tag. Then we do possible tags.add. Unique possible tags is equal to all of the possible tags except the already revealed ones. Oh, right. This needs to be, I made a mistake. This needs to be final possible tags there. I just forgot to use this conditional list. That's what happened. Okay. I'm glad it was as simple as that, because otherwise I was going to be very confused. It's like I literally specifically just wrote code to guard against this case, and the first thing I see is that happened. Okay, so now it's doing reagent, undead, and ritual, which is what I expect. Or that is a possible result that I expect anyway. So now this is reagent, undead, ritual, and then I should see, you know, the same things here, flint. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. I think we can call that one good then. Excellent. Have you considered doing a 3D C# Godot course like you have with 2D? I mean, that would be nice to do at some point. The problem is I don't feel comfortable making courses unless I know what I'm talking about, and I don't have like basically any 3D experience. So part of the effort of making a 3D course would be to actually spend a considerable amount of time actually developing a game in 3D. So that when I go to make the course, I can actually teach you appropriately. The reason why the 2D courses were straightforward for me to make is that I had already made like several 2D games in Godot, and I had done a lot of like learning in terms of like, you know, what's the best way to do this and how to effectively use custom resources and how to effectively use YSort and all that stuff. So I already knew generally how to approach building 2D games when I made those courses. 3D is a different story. Like I'm not familiar enough with a 3D workflow to do that. So maybe someday, but I would have to make it, like I said, I would have to make at least a pretty significant 3D game first before I did that. How do you approach pathfinding? Pathfinding in this game is relatively easy. It's not really pathfinding. I'm assuming you're talking about this game. All this is just a tree, or a graph rather. So I just generate a bunch of nodes, and then I'm using basically I generate a Delaunay triangulation between each node, and then I just prune the edges down. But it's a directed graph, which means that you can only go one direction. So to determine which node you can visit is just a matter of looking at the outgoing connections from the node that you're currently on, and then that's basically it. So there's not really any pathfinding here. There's just like a series of transformations on that Delaunay triangulation that basically guarantees that there will always be a path forward, but it still provides some branching. Like I could go down this path or I could go down that path. And you know, the paths converge sometimes, but other times they diverge, and you could like completely miss like huge chunks of items. I mean, you have to, like every movement you make should ideally be somewhat of a tough decision. Like I want the game to be such that you have multiple good options, and you have to think carefully about like which good options you want to take and which good options you want to sacrifice. But there's not really pathfinding in like a strict sense. Like there's no pathfinding algorithm. I'm just taking the tree structure or the graph structure and using that to inform like what's visitable, what's not visitable, all that good stuff. How many years do you think it might take for AA studios to start hiring developers for Godot? AAA studios? I have no idea. That's another thing where I'm like, I don't have any knowledge of any of that. It's probably, if I had to guess, it would probably be the case that if they were going to use Godot in any substantial manner, they would just use the talent that they already have. Because there's nothing really that special about Godot. Like if you've already got engine programmers and you've already got gameplay programmers and you've already got technical artists, it's just a matter of like getting them up to speed on a new tool. You don't like, there's nothing like having Godot expertise obviously helps if you're going to make a Godot game, but I don't think it's like one of those differentiating factors that's going to make like hiring new people the obvious choice. I think if AAA developers were going to move into using Godot more, they would just move to using it, and they would just give their team the time to like adjust to the new tool and figure out how to use it and stuff. So, but like I said, I don't know anything. So that would be my impression. That's what I would do if I owned a business. If I said, hey, our internal tools are taking too long to develop and there's already this great engine and we can just modify it as necessary, I'd probably just move that direction rather than hiring Godot specific people, you know? But I don't know anything. Good. It is better as a player does not skip nodes, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that'll be it for the stream today. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. It was a fun stream. Got a lot done. The to-do list is starting to shrink, so that's good. So again, this to-do list is basically the last things that I need to do to have a playtest build ready. And I'm going to do some more of my own playtesting as well, but I'm going to try to get you another playtest real soon. But again, you can wishlist the game on Steam. It's called Alchemortis. And yeah, I'd appreciate if you would do that. Appreciate all the support. I also have a Patreon where you can subscribe. You get a couple of nice perks for subscribing at Patreon, but it also helps me out a lot because I'm entirely self-funded as it stands right now. So appreciate all the support, but you can also join the Discord. We have a good community over there, a great community even. And that's totally free. You can just come and hang out and chat and share your projects and all that stuff. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for coming to the late version of the stream, but I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Have a great day, and bye-bye for now.